Growing up, I remember hearing adults say they don't make them like this anymore. And they'd be talking about a car or something, and I never used to get it. I used to have this mentality of a car is a car. They all have the same 4 doors, 4 wheels. The only thing that'd be different was the coat of paint they used. But now that I'm older, this feeling of understanding the value of things in an era bygone hits so different. And when it comes to Yu Yu Hakusho or Yusuke Urameshi himself, I can say with full confidence, they don't make them like this anymore. No nonsense shonen heroes the world didn't know they needed, but they really did. Yu Yu Hakusho is one of the greatest shonen animes ever made, but somehow it still feels underrated. Out of this show with one of the greatest tournaments in all of anime history, an incredible opening song, and one of the coolest main characters that have ever come out of Jump Comics, end up flying under the radar compared to a lot of big shonen names. Sailor Moon got a remake, Dragon Ball Z comes back every few years. I can't even tell you how many times JoJo has somehow revived itself with a new franchise. But Yu Yu Hakusho doesn't feel like it has that kind of fan gas or hype around it. Maybe it's because it wrapped up the anime before it actually blew up worldwide. Maybe people were afraid to invest in another Togashi property because of his back pains. Or maybe, just hear me out on this, just maybe, the show was a bit too powerful for the 90s to handle. But today, we're fixing that. We're going deep into everything Yu Yu Hakusho. The manga, the anime, the Toonami dub, the games, the merch, and yes, even the live action adaptation. And plus, we need to answer one big question. Should this show get a remake, or is it perfect as is? So, I'm Remy, and I just want to know, has anyone checked on Yu Yu Hakusho? And if not, let's. Yu Yu Hakusho started as a manga by Yoshiro Takashi, the same mastermind behind Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter, and the lesser known over here in the West series called Level E. Yu Yu Hakusho hit Weekly Shonen Jump in 1990, but here's the thing, Takashi didn't even plan for the series to be that long. It blew up. Fans latched onto this mixed supernatural fights, deep character arcs, and absolute chaos, so naturally, it got an anime adaptation. Studio Parrot picked it up in 1992, and they didn't hold back. The animation clean, the fights brutal, the dub, we'll get to that. Positive notes on that one. But what really made this anime hit different was how it followed the manga story so accurately. There's no unnecessary filler. You didn't have to worry about that. No side quest for Urameshi and the gang. We're just story. There's no, oh, Yusuke's gotta go find this super secret spirit charm to save the demon. None of that. It was just story. It was good. It's great. And it wrapped up on its own terms in 1994, leaving behind an absolute classic, even if the ending felt a bit weird. Before we get to the ending, we have to talk about the English dub. And when I say this, I mean this with full confidence. It is legendary. One of the best dubs, hands down. When Yu Yu Hakusho hit Toonami in 2002, Funimation took the wheel and they didn't just translate, it felt like they rewrote the script for a Western audience. We got characters who sounded so real. Justin Cook killed it as Yusuke. Like no one else can ever sound like Yusuke in the dub because of this man. And at this point, if you put Christopher Sabat in anything, you know it's legendary. Dragon Ball Z, Black Clover, One Piece, My Hero Academia. This man does not miss, and he did not miss in this one. He kills it as Kurobara. I can't imagine anyone else sounding like Kurobara for the rest of all time now because of this guy. Amazing work. You also had amazing work from Laura Bailey, Synthix Kranz, Sean Teagues, Chuck Huber, and John Bergemeyer, and many other amazing VAs that lent their talents and skills to making this more than just a fun show. They made this an experience. You know what, actually, I don't think experience is strong enough. I want to say this is more of a journey as the VAs developed alongside with the characters they were acting as. But then, I want to be honest, they did make some dialogue changes. Things got reworked, some jokes got localized, and for once, I genuinely think this worked in favor of the dub. Yusuke is a lot more direct in the dub version. If you've seen the show, you know what I mean by direct. He is a no-nonsense kind of guy.
Earth the toddler bitch! You better speak now before I forever put that pacifier 10 inches down your throat!
He is not here to deal with anyone's foolishness, and it is amazing. And you know what's also amazing? The lore for Yu Yu Hakusho. So let's get into that right now. Let's knock this out. I love this story so much. So great. Okay, I'm gonna stop glazing. Yusuke Urameshi is your average 14-year-old delinquent, skipping school, starting fights, and always looking like he has a problem with everybody. And at first glance, you think he's just kind of not a good guy, but in plot twist, he dies, saving a kid from getting hit by a truck. And since this isn't 2020 plus, he doesn't get isekai'd, he just dies. Yeah, the main character dies in the first episode, and as the main character is coming to terms with his death, the afterlife was not what he expected. They gave him a second chance to come back actually. But first, he does have to pass some ridiculous test. So, Yusuke becomes a ghost detective for a bit, or spirit detective. But after a while, he punches enough demons to where you're like, okay, you can get your body back now. Good job. And so he revives. And I feel like not enough people question this medically, but you know what? The story doesn't linger on it, so neither am I. But it does kind of bother me that no one was like, we should take Yusuke to a hospital. He revived like a couple days later, is Yusuke Jesus? Did we miss that update? Like, I understand his mom not questioning the miracle, but like, someone in that town should have been like, yo, Yusuke was dead. He was on a shirt. He was packed up. Like, we had a funeral, and now he's just back. Like, okay, I'm not gonna linger on this, but like, you know, like just like a little bit of. Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay. Anyway, things with a mirror, an orb, a fox, and a guy with a third eye. A bunch of random stuff happens. And somewhere along the line, he makes a crew for himself after he becomes a spirit detective. First off, we have Kurobara, his sort of on off again frenemy rival thing. Anyway, Kurobara and Yusuke are like hand in hand. Like, you get one, you get two. Kurobara is such a great guy. 10 toes down for the group. He is someone you want to have your back in a fight. Next, we have two former enemies. We have Hiei. Hiei is the original Sasuke, but unlike Sasuke, his family is still alive. They just don't like him because he's a male. Also, he has a cloak for no reason. So you know what? He might be one of the OG aura farmers. I love people who have cloaks for absolutely no reason. Hiei hits all those checkboxes. Cool, edgy cloak. Hiei just has a top tier design, and I will not be convinced otherwise. And finally, we have Kurama, a lot of people's first furry killer demon that wasn't Inuyasha. Between Kurama and Hiei themselves, they have enough edge to kind of make a knife factory feel a little bit jealous, but we love that for the gang. While they do add people over time, these are the original 4 core members of Team Urameshi. Now that the gang's assembled, things might start to get a little spooky in here. So now Yusuke is officially a spirit detective, which means solving ghost crimes by punching everything in sight. But then the anime remembers it's actually a shonen. We need to have arcs. So Yu Hakusho drops his first quote-unquote official, not official arc. I'm just going to call it the Hiei sister retrieval arc. So we're going to just call it that. The arc to get Hiei's sister back. And through that, they need to storm a castle, fight a couple dudes, have Yusuke teach us about equality.
You're messy, are you serious? She's a fighter and she's trying to get in our way. I don't care if she's a girl or a baby or somebody's grandmother. I'll still knock her out.
Then inevitably they have to fight the Toguro brothers, which they do win, granted, but this does show them that they're actually incredibly weak, which is a shame because the Toguro brothers actually show up again because they let them win. That's the big plot twist. They let them win. And this leads into a training arc for Yusuke. And after that, after that, we get to maybe one of, if not the most iconic tournament arcs in all of anime. I'm talking about the one, the only, the Dark Tournament arc. Hands down, one of the best tournament arcs in all of shonen. I do not care if you have another thing to compare it to, you're wrong. This arc, the Dark Tournament, is where Yusuke and the boys get thrown into a tournament hosted by demons who love violence just a little bit way too much. The odds are against them, the matches are against them, the refs are against them. It's a whole mess of a bad time. And with each round, it only gets worse and worse, but the gang rises to the occasion. Kurobara develops the power of friendship and makes it a new sword, as one does with friendships. I mean, if your friends aren't doing that, you may not have real friends. I'm sorry, just letting you know now. On the other hand, Kurama invents botanical murder. So, you know, pretty flowers, Venus flytraps, that'll kill you. And I know he definitely awakened a few things in people. It's just, we can say that right now. I know that dude did something to some people. Some chemistry in that brain got churned when he went to Fox mode. And Hiei gets one of the most anime type of anime power-ups of all time. He gets a black dragon. Like for no reason. Like, his cloak wasn't cool enough. They gave him a black dragon. Like, come on, man. You can't make me think he's even cooler than he already is. Like, for no reason. Why even give him a black flaming dragon? Just like, ugh, he's so cool, it's dumb. He's so cool, it's dumb. And as for Yusuke, he gets trauma. Yay, hooray, good old MC trauma. Now, how pray tell does he get this trauma? Well, thankfully, his mentor, Genkai, a really cool old lady, dies. I don't know why I said thankfully, like that was a good, I mean, he got a power up, but you know, that's kind of neither here nor there. She dies regardless, but for only like 5 episodes. So, you know, she comes back too. Maybe she's Jesus also. Anyhow, Yusuke finally gets to the final match, him versus Toguro. And this time, no holding back. 100% straight hands. Unfortunately though, when Toguro goes his 100%, he sorta kinda looks like a rejected JoJo character mixed with someone who should have been a Fist of the North Star and Baki. It's cool, but it also looks really gross. And I know you're asking, what exactly is Togoro's end goal here? He did the sponsors, he did the Dark Tournament, he kidnapped the sister. What is all this for? What is his end game? He didn't want to grow old, so his goal is to honestly make muscles so big that it could break reality and he would stop aging. And on paper, when I dumb it down to something as simple as it sounded right there, it doesn't sound impressive, but at the same time, I really like that his goal wasn't something generic like world domination or I want to kill all the humans, which he technically was a human. But you know, it wasn't something so bland. It was personal. It was a personal goal. He didn't want to do this so he could enslave humanity or kill all the demons. He wanted to do it because he wanted to do it for himself. He was a selfish villain, and I like that. We like selfish villains over here. We appreciate you guys for not being generic. Anyhow, spoiler, Yusuke wins the fight, but only after pulling a Goku. And by that, I mean taking off the weighted clothes and, getting a spiritual rage power up because of that. And just when Yusuke thinks he could take a nap, he is now forced to deal with his senior spirit detective's crash out. And this starts the Chapter Black saga. In this arc, the new villain is Sensui, a former spirit detective, who basically rage quits his job after finding humans are just as bad as demons. And in all honesty, I could have told him that. I would like, hey, Sensui, just work a retail store during Christmas or back to school. You'll realize we all suck. Everyone sucks. So I get it, but maybe chill on the crash out. Unrelated though, he's got 7 different personalities, literally, in a weird messiah complex. His grand plan? To open up the portal to the demon world and let them kind of just have fun in the human world and see what happens. Maybe destroy a couple towns, eat a couple people, some light. And obviously Yusuke's like, I can't let you do this. I get it, some humans suck, but there's also some good ones, so we're gonna have to fight. And I'm like, okay, cool. They fight. Yusuke dies. Again, plot twist, Yusuke finds out he's part demon on his mother's side a few generations back. Because why not? So he gets a Super Saiyan 3 type of glow up and, beats up Sensui. And after the fact is actually pretty mad about it because he felt like the fight got stolen from him. And so to find out more about this new predicament he finds himself in, he decides it's time for him to live with demons. Mostly because his long lost demon ancestor decides it's time for some family bonding. So Yusuke ends up in the demon world. While there, he learns that his great, probably a few more greats in there, grandfather is Ryzen, one of the 3 kings of the demon world. But now he's literally starving himself to death because he refuses to eat humans and he knows he's gonna die and he wants Yusuke to take his spot. But Yusuke has no interest in taking over the power vacuum left by Ryzen. So with Yusuke being the problem solver that he is, he decides the best way to handle all the Demon King's political issues is to hold another tournament. Yu Yu Hakusho ended the way it lived. Just holding tournaments and punching people in the face. You gotta love it. This final tournament has Yusuke, Hiei, and Kurama all take part in the Demon World Tournament. Unlike Yusuke, Hiei and Kurama are sort of forced to do the whole thing by Makuro and Yomi, the other 2 kings of the Demon World. And after a few months of training, some shenanigans happen. The tournament arc finally starts. And then it finishes, just like that, super fast. Oh, and one more plot twist, it's not Yusuke's story to finish. The tournament winner is actually a pretty chilled old dude named Inki. He just wants to take naps and chill. He's like, hey man, enough of all this fighting, we're chilling now. With that, Yusuke is now semi-retired, goes back to the human world, and runs a ramen shop with his girlfriend Keiko, who I have not introduced to this point. But she's important, she's not throwing hands like that, so I didn't feel like mentioning her up till right now. But she is important, so I don't want to take that away from her character. But before the show's over, we get hit with one final shot. Yusuke standing by the ocean, thinking about life before running back to his friends. No big explosions, no final battles, just a quiet, bittersweet ending that still holds up to this day. So that is the story of Yu Yu Hakusho. A story about punching ghosts, emotional trauma, and the power of yelling until you win, and cussing out people. Oh, and also, have you ever felt that this final arc was so fast? It's because it actually was. Gashi, at this point, his infinite health problems had started to unfortunately arise, which led him to wrapping up the story faster and probably more abruptly than he actually wanted to. Which is sad, because if you're a Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter fan, you know he's been working through these lifelong issues for so long, and you really hate to see that, because he's such a good author and artist. And while the ending may not have been ideal, on the other side of the table that is ideal is all the cool side content that came with Yu Yu Hakusho. When it comes to Yu Yu Hakusho, when you talk about the video games, it's a mixed bag. You either got some really good heaters like the Sega Genesis games, or you get the PS2 Dark Tournament, which, if we're being honest, was not that amazing. But we did not care because we played it because it's Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, I feel like a Dragon Ball Z fan right now. I don't care what it is, I'm gonna play it regardless. Let me just play with Goku, play with Yusuke, doing dumb stuff. That's all I need. I'm happy. I say that, but as someone who owned the GBA Yu Yu Hakusho games, maybe don't ever play those. I'm sorry, a tactics-based Yu Yu Hakusho game was not it. As much as I liked it, I replayed a bit of it for this video, so I'm not just saying something at the side of my neck. It was not the most fun I've ever had playing a tactics-based game. It may not have been it. I'll be honest with you, it just may not have been it. But after that, it was kind of quiet on all fronts when it came to Yu Yu Hakusho games until Jump Force. As much as I like seeing Yusuke in high definition, Jump Force, man, Jump Force was not it also. Like, the most shallow mechanics you have ever seen in a fighting game. The models, I hate the art style for the models. They look like porcelain caricatures or something. I don't like how the textures, I can rant about Jump Force for so long. I'm not gonna do that, but just Jump Force was not it. Do you know what was it? Was a trading card game. The Yu Yu Hakusho trading card game was pretty fun. Now granted, I'm saying this based off my memory as a kid, and as a kid, I'm pretty sure I didn't play by the rules, but I do remember playing it with some friends over summer camp, and we enjoyed it. Like, it was cool. Like, the art was fun, the rules were nebulous, because honestly, we were kids, we didn't play by the rules, we just kind of had fun with it. We just had a good time. Yu Yu Hakusho was seemingly trying to ride the weight off of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG games, but you know, it just kind of disappeared. But worry not, fans, the TCG version of Yu Yu Hakusho is not gone forever. It lives on, sorta, in Union Arena, a relatively new-ish TCG that's like Jump Force if it had a TCG game, and they just kind of made it work. I've actually never played it. I've always found the concept of the game really interesting. It's like Smash Bros or something, but with a TCG. And speaking of things that just kind of work, we gotta talk about that theme song. That theme song is in a league of its own. You know, I called it a theme song, but Smile Bomb is kind of more of an anthem. English or Japanese, it doesn't matter, both are incredibly good. The opening set the tone and the background music hits in every emotional note. Just thinking about it now, it really makes you realize that theme music used to really hit back in the day. They don't make them like this anymore. And in regards to making something, they're making something new. So we need to talk about the live action adaptation. Netflix made a live action Yu Yu Hakusho, and somehow, through the will of the universe, it actually wasn't the worst. Sorta. It actually showed some respect for the source material. The casting actually looked really solid. The live action combat was overall pretty well choreographed. The CGI they used for certain demons wasn't actually that bad. Like, overall, like a solid C+ when it came to live action. It's no One Piece live action, let's be honest here. But thankfully, it definitely wasn't a Death Note live action situation, because that was just embarrassing. And so we're reaching the end of the video. So this is where things kind of get a little bit real. Should Yu Yu Hakusho come back? Should it get like a Hunter x Hunter treatment where it comes back in 1999, but just out the 2011 version? I'm kidding, this is a silly question. Of course it should come back. There's no debate. Why would it not come back? It's such a great story. And honestly, if you just let Togashi write out the end of the story and like just have someone else animate it and draw it, like, would that not be peak? I feel like if we got a fleshed out Three Kings arc and like they developed as characters and the tournament arc like fleshed out, it would be so amazing. I would love that so much. So in conclusion, Yu Yu Hakusho is an undisputed classic. It gave us the best dub, a super fun power system, one of the best opening of all of anime, and some of the coldest fights in all of anime also. Its legacy still stands decades later. So if they ever do bring her back via a video game, a new anime, a new manga, something, I don't care what, it has to hit just as hard. Also, you gotta bring back Justin Cook. If he's not voicing Yusuke, it's not Yu Yu Hakusho. I will crash out over this one fact. He is the voice of Yusuke. You can't replace him. Because this series, it deserves the respect to have its OG cast back, because it's such a good series, and I and so many people love it so much. So thank you for letting me check up on Yu Yu Hakusho. Like and subscribe and all the fun stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all take it easy. Oh, side note, I am sick when I'm recording this, so if I sound different, my bad. I'm gonna have to hold that. You can't even imagine how many times I've had to cut and chop up this audio because I've been coughing and sneezing throughout this entire recording. So yeah, my bad guys, if it sounds weird. I'll be back to normal in the next video. Anyway, y'all be easy. Later.